Welcome to Back on the Broomstick,
A modern witch's spoken word grimoire.
where two witchy friends from way back are reconnecting to their pagan roots after a long period of mundanity.
We're rewalking the path of the wise and trying out all the latest spells, rituals, and magical theory in today's witchcraft and pagan practices.
So grab your wand and your incense
Your cauldron and your crystals
and join us
as we get
back on the broomstick.
Hi, and welcome to Back on the Broomstick. I'm Layla, and on this episode, we're celebrating Ostara.
I'm Chelle, and boy, we're late this year.
Ostara is typically in March, right around the 20th, right?
When have I ever been on time?
Actually, you're pretty darn good about being on time, to be honest, but
Oh, wait, it's you that's not on time.
that's right. There you go. There you go. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and this is no exception. I am definitely not on time for Ostara, but it feels like spring now, so I'm excited. And, there's lots of different reasons why you might not necessarily be able to celebrate a holiday on the holiday. And Ostara is typically celebrated on the spring equinox, which is usually right around March 20th. And it celebrates balance and the beginning of spring. Persephone is back and her mother is excited.
Yeah, our life wasn't really balanced on the equinox, but it is more
Ew.
so now, so here we are.
And it wasn't spring-like at all on the equinox. It was still pretty much the dead of winter here.
I almost feel like it actually did snow on the equinox, if I remember correctly.
It did. It snowed here too. Yeah, I wasn't
Yeah.
feeling spring at all.
But before we get into that, I had an idea. And I swear, guys, this will be the last time I talk about sacred space. So prior to going away, I went to the little old P.O. box. Boy, I love that P.O. box. And side note, I love when you guys send mail. It like literally makes my day.
You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for all the mail and everything you sent. Not only does Chelle love checking the mail, we love reading the mail. We have some very creative, very interesting, very cool and witchy listeners.
Some of the stuff that we've received has been mind-blowing. But anyway, back to my story. I go check the mail. I wanted to make sure I checked it one last time before I left town and got a armload of things, and I packed my suitcase. I kind of told you I was going to bring you some mail, but I don't think you realized. So I show up to Layla's house with a tubby full of mail.
She brought a very large plastic box full of mail from you wonderful, amazing people.
And goodies. Don't forget, there were gifts in there. There were goodies.
Birthday cards and goodies and candy and oh my goodness.
And also, you finally got some of your Yule gifts, which for those who sent Yule gifts to Layla and I, please know that I sent her pictures. I showed her on video, but she did not have them in her hot little hands until recently.
Until now. And I have my birthday cards and I've started going through them. And in probably about a week or two, we'll be putting up our very first mail call solarium. So we'll be talking about all of it.
So, everybody who has sent mail, if we have not already given you our thanks and appreciation, stay tuned, folks, because the next solarium, it's all about mail call.
So thank you. And somebody, I think the last thing that you got out of the mailbox before we left for Sacred Space was a bunch of candy.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
We got some Peeps and chocolate bunnies.
This had to be 2 pounds of Lindt chocolate bunnies. And wow, they were delicious. And I've been eating them. And I offered you some, but you said I could eat them all. So here I am.
So thank you, Nancy, so much for the candy. Shell is very much enjoying it, and hopefully she'll stash a little so that next time I come out, I can snack on it too.
I will. I will.
I know you
I'm
will.
not going to like it, but I will.
That's another thing that kind of reminded me that I hadn't really celebrated Ostara. I mean, on the equinox, I thought about it a little bit, and I had a little tea and I thought about how cranky I was that it was cold on the first day of spring.
I mean, we talked about it just because the calendar told us to, but it was definitely not spring.
No,
Definitely.
no. So getting the Ostara type candy in the mail kind of reminded me that it's starting to feel like spring now, especially when we were down in Maryland. The weather got warm right after the snowstorm. We started seeing flowers. So now I'm kind of itchy. I want to do some Ostara things.
Well, and what warmed my heart the other day this week is I saw my first bee of the year.
Aw.
And I also saw a bunch of robins like pecking worms. Now, if they can peck the worms, that means that the ground has softened and warmed enough that yes, it is spring.
And Ostara is all about new beginnings. It's about that freshness of spring. It's all about starting new things, planting those seeds and getting ready for them to ripen. Typically, Ostara is when the days and nights are of equal length. It's a celestial event. But our ancestors, first of all, didn't celebrate something called Ostara. And if they did celebrate the spring equinox, they would have done it based on gut feeling and vibes, I think, trying to figure out when the days were equal. They more likely would have done it when their crops started growing and the little animals started coming out.
And I think that at least here in America, most of America, because actually not all of America does this, that pesky thing called daylight savings time.
Ah, yes. I have a love-hate relationship with daylight savings.
I really do. I feel you. I like gaining an hour in the fall, but I don't like that sense of my day can't technically end until well after dark. I want to live like my ancestors. But daylight savings time kind of gets me more in that spring mood because, you think of spring and summer when it's lighter, longer, and the days are getting longer. And I think this year, I didn't feel like those days were starting to get longer instantly like I have in past years. It's like, oh, it's March 21st. All of a sudden, tomorrow's longer. I didn't feel that this year. I felt like January to now has dragged both literally and figuratively. And
Yeah.
that's kind of how I felt about Ostara. It kind of dragged well past March.
Maybe a lot of people weren't feeling it this year because a few people mentioned online, and a couple of our listeners asked as well, hey, I didn't celebrate on Ostara for whatever reason. Is it okay to celebrate a few days later, or in our case, a couple weeks later? And yes, the answer is absolutely yes. Ostara isn't just the name that Aidan Kelly gave to the Wiccan celebration of the spring equinox. It means the whole season of spring. Ostara is the whole springtime. And if now is when you're feeling that energy, if now is when you're feeling that springtime come up, then go ahead, celebrate it. Whether you did or didn't celebrate on the date, when you're starting to see those first stirrings of spring, you can celebrate Ostara again or for the first time.
I also have another point to ponder, and that is we've already established that, I was not raised with any hardline Christian religion, but in the same respect, I raised my children to celebrate the bunny and, the season of candy and colored eggs and egg hunts. With Easter not being until 420, it almost makes Ostara seem like it has to be later in my personal mind, because in my personal mind, Easter and Ostara are generally close together, and it's kind of one big spring thing. The colored eggs, the baskets. I used to take my kids for pictures with the Easter bunny. I just think that this year, especially with Easter being so late, it kind of made Ostara feel late too.
I have the opposite view, actually. I don't like when Ostara and Easter are close.
You tell.
Easter actually was the first holiday that my children brought home from school. We always celebrated pagan holidays. We celebrated the Wheel of the Year. My kids came with me to celebrations. I mean, I didn't push anything. I just wanted them to make their own choice when they got older.
Right. What happened at Easter?
Easter, I think it was kindergarten or first grade. My kid comes home from school with coloring pages about Easter and wanted to know why we didn't celebrate Jesus.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, I didn't have that experience, or I would have been really kind of angry.
She learned about this in school, in public school in New York State.
Okay.
We usually celebrated Ostara and the Ostara fairy. The Ostara fairy would come to our house and the children would get little baskets and they'd get candy and usually something to plant or something to grow, things like that.
Right.
We would do the eggs, but after that time in school, and then the next year when it happened again, they really wanted to celebrate Easter,
Out.
and I didn't like it.
Okay. Okay.
So even now that my kids are older, I like to keep them separate, and we did revert back to the Ostara fairy only once they outgrew their Jesus phase, but I still don't like it. I don't even like to color eggs. I do like to have eggs in my Ostara things, but coloring them feels too Eastery to me. And so I don't like the co-opting of my religion, and I really didn't like it in public school.
I totally get that. I'm not looking to defend the New York State Department of Education, but I will say that my kids also went to obviously a different public school in New York. And it usually was about bunnies and eggs and duckies. And, they'd usually come home with like a styrofoam cup that had something planted in it.
Yeah.
But I mean, you knew me back then when my kids were that age. You knew I would have flipped shit if that
I
happened.
did actually. I
But in
caused
the
a scene at the school.
but in the same respect, they'd go to their grandmothers for Easter,
Right, right.
but they knew mom and dad did this and grandma and grandpa did this. But if school ever gave an opinion, I would have been there loud and proud.
And I was, and that particular teacher understood what had happened. The second year, it was other students, it was other kids kind of pressuring, and it wasn't the actual teacher and handout.
More about the wanting to fit in.
Yes, it was other kids pushing, why don't you celebrate Easter? Where's your Easter basket? What do you mean you don't know who Jesus is?
Like when I was in seventh grade and want to go to CCD because that's what all my friends did after school one night a week.
What's CCD?
It's like this evening Bible study thing. I don't know. Somebody can give a better explanation than I, but it's like a religious study thing, and all my friends went to it. So I wanted to go because I wanted to be with my friends. And then when I realized what it was, I was like, "Oh, okay, I'll see you tomorrow."
It can be hard. I mean, when the mainstream religion is not yours, it can be very difficult, especially for children. But that can also be a source of strength. Like you were saying, a lot of the overlap is joyful to some people. They can easily celebrate because you can find Easter slash Ostara slash spring things everywhere. And so that can bring a lot of safety and comfort and joy to people because of the overlap.
And for some reason, I don't know why it was ingrained in me as a young child, but there's something about Easter where I feel like it has to involve hats, pretty dresses, and white shoes. Blame my grandmother.
Yeah, that sounds like a grandma thing. Until you mentioned it, I completely forgot that we hadn't already passed Easter. And I was going to talk about how happy I was that Easter was already over and I didn't have to worry about it in my Ostara.
I take pleasure in the fact that this year Easter's on 420, so I know you're going to be celebrating.
That's hilarious. I
It
love
is.
that. Okay.
It
All
is.
right.
It
I will
is.
be having a party on Easter and there'll be a lot of greenery there. Let's
The
just
meme, the memes on Facebook related to that are epic. I'm just saying.
So, although I did kind of poo-poo on Easter, later I do have a Ostara spell that involves an eggshell. So, there's a little bit of crossover I'm okay with.
Now, I want to just for a minute, let's talk about the people who think we're crazy.
Oh, that's probably a lot.
What are your thoughts and how do you combat people who say, what the hell are you guys doing talking about and celebrating Ostara, first, second week of April? My argument is, look, I do me. That's the best I can do. You do you, I do me, and here we are. But like, how would you combat someone who thinks we're kind of not so cuckoo?
It's all about the vibes. No, I would basically say that Ostara is a season. If you want to celebrate the moment of the equinox, that's great. But like a full moon, think of a full moon. You can celebrate it before or after the actual celestial moment of the full moon. Wheel of the Year events are way bigger than that. So I feel like you can celebrate Ostara throughout the entire spring season. Honor it once, honor it twice, honor it every single day if you want to, and do it whenever you would like. At the beginning of the episode, we were talking about how now we're starting to really feel spring and see spring. And I can do some of the things that say spring to me, like planting seeds and working on my land and, going out and cleaning up my outdoor altars. Those only just recently were possible. So that's what I would say, is I'm celebrating the season as it appears where I'm at.
I have the same view, but I kind of simplify it down to the equinox is a moment, whereas Ostara is a season.
Beautiful.
You know
Perfect.
what I mean?
Hmm.
I mean, I do every so often, not every single year on the equinox, but I randomly try the broom thing and I fail and then I move on with my day. But Ostara might be like a week later, or I mean, pagan standard time. Sometimes we celebrate and do rituals on the weekend because who can do a Sabbath ritual on a Wednesday after work? You know what I
Right?
mean?
Yeah, that's a good point. How many times did our pagan community celebrate the Sabbath on the closest weekend to the Sabbath?
Who can do Beltane on a Tuesday night? Okay, who? Tell me.
That's
Who?
freaking hard. Most of the
Right?
time, Beltane was 2 weeks away. Oh, which I have to say, I'm very excited. Our former pagan community is gathering together for Beltane this year. So I'm super stoked about that.
I'm really actually going to try to get that on my calendar because
You
I
better
felt all this
go.
when I found out, I felt all nostalgic.
Yay. Yes, I went 2 years ago. There wasn't one last year. I'm thinking this might be the rumblings of trying to get back together. We're getting the band back together, man.
Get the band back together.
That would be amazing. Be
But
amazing.
I mean, aside from, the wonderfulness of that group and getting the band back together, the world is shifting back to a sense of community and unity.
I hope so. We do need each other, especially now, especially with all the tax on paganism, on anybody who's different. We need to stand together. But we need to get together in community. Community is wonderful.
Now, I'm curious. So, usually I'm spread lady. Do not take that in a different way. Stop yourself. Stop yourself.
Please re-say that line so I don't put it in the way it just sounded.
Actually, I almost think it would be funny to leave it in with you laughing.
So tarot, say tarot spread lady.
Tarot spread lady.
You can't say it like that though, it'll sound terrible.
I kind of like spread lady myself.
All right, I'm leaving it in. That
Okay.
okay.
You have
That's
to leave your cackle in though, too.
I will indeed. I have signed both our fates.
So you said that you have a tarot spread. I want to hear it. The listeners want to hear it. What is your spring spread?
So I was kind of bumbling around on the internet the other day. So I was supposed to be doing emails, and instead I was going down internet rabbit holes. And I came across a couple people on Reddit talking about,
You and Reddit.
I know I love Reddit. Hey, shout out to the Reddit back on the broomstick group. Hey, love you guys.
I'll get on there one day, I promise.
You should. If you're going to jump into Reddit, our Reddit group is a good one. It's small, but it's very good. The witches on there are amazing. I pop in once in a while. I forgot where I was going. Oh yeah, so I was on Reddit and I saw a couple people mention that they hadn't celebrated Ostara and they were wanting to. And that got me thinking about how you and I have been talking about celebrating Ostara late, and then bumped into a very old on Tumblr, if you can believe that, tarot reading. It's called The Seed,
Ooh, I don't even know anything about it, and it sounds fitting.
right? And it's specifically for Ostara. It's by someone called Tarot Dreams on Tumblr.
Ooh,
And the seed has 5 cards, and I'll put up a picture on all of our socials. But it's basically 2 cards in a like diagonal, 1, 2 diagonally, and then in another diagonal line just to the right of that, 3, 4, 5 going down. So 2 diagonal lines.
interesting pattern.
The first card, you put down 1 and 2. The first card is the soil. Where have you grown? The soil is your past. Where do you grow from? What do you grow from? And what lessons can be learned from the past?
Kind of like a what are your roots?
Yeah. And then number 2 is the weed. And you want to grow and be strong, but there's something that's stunting your progress. What are your obstacles and what's holding you back?
Ooh, I like that.
Right? So then the first card of the second row is number 3, and that's the seed. And in your immediate future, what area of your life will you first start to see signs of growth? What seeds have taken hold? Number 4 is the sun, and that's love and support from other people. But the will to grow comes from within.
Kind of like what nourishes you.
The sun is a reminder of what you need to keep in mind in order to help yourself grow. So, energy from other people that you internalize and kind of use to grow. And then number 5, the last card is the rain. This is a blessing in disguise, and it asks you to understand that things are not always as they seem. Sometimes when the skies are gray, you might feel sad or depressed, but rain is just as necessary as the sun.
You can't grow without it.
That's right. Through struggle, you gain strength. So, what blessing in disguise is on your horizon?
I love that spread.
I do too. Of course, I tried it out as soon as I saw it, and I absolutely love it. This is a fantastic spread. So I will definitely post that and all the different positions and meanings on our socials and on the website. I usually put them in the blog. So if you're looking on our website for things I say in the podcast, it's usually in the blog area. So springtime in Salem, we very often say is one of our favorite times in Salem.
I know, but I've got something that I don't think the listeners are ready for.
Oh, what do you mean?
So you know how during the springtime, once spring has officially sprung, Home Depot goes crazy. Okay.
That's true. All the different garden stores and everybody. Absolutely.
Home Depot turns into like the Mecca. Okay. And I found myself at Home Depot, and I'm glad you're sitting down because I wouldn't want you to fall and pass out and get hurt by this. But I bought three more plants that I'm going to try to keep alive.
You did what? Do you even want to? I didn't think you even liked taking care of the two I gave you.
No, see, here's the thing. I didn't mean no as an answer to your question, but listen, like I've had this weird, like I've had a change of heart or an epiphany, or I don't know what it is. Or if I just feel like I need to spite everybody and prove a point, that could be it too, because you know how I am.
I do. Oh, yeah.
For some reason, I want to do this. And you've known this that, every year I do plant a little herb garden
Mm-hmm.
and
It doesn't do too bad.
right, that's because the outside is controlling everything, not me. Let's be honest. So I did plan to go get seeds, which I got. I got my seeds, but I walked out with three plants. And then I was searching for what do you call those things you put them in?
Pots.
Those things. Like I found two gorgeous ones. I was having fun at Home Depot, but I did buy things that I don't know what they are. I'm not going to lie to you folks. The cashier did tell me that they were for the inside and not the outside.
That's a start.
So I do know that they are inside plants. I think I can do this, folks.
I have faith in you.
And here's why I'm starting to think I could do this. What is that plant you gave me that has the heart shape?
A heartleaf philodendron.
That thing is like all of a sudden there's shoots coming out. I put it in a window near sun. Who knew? Who freaking knew? So it's like these shoots are coming out and the leaves are like these deep green leaves. And I'm like, oh my God. And then the spider plant, first of all, I put it in a place where the cats can't bite it.
Fantastic.
And two new shoots now that haven't been bitten by cats.
So you're feeling the grow things bug, and you went out and got three more.
No, I haven't told you the biggest part of this yet.
What'd you do?
So remember the mushroom fiasco?
Yes, the mushrooms were growing in the plant. Yes.
And some of our listeners, bless their souls, they were so patient with me, were giving me different reasons on why they thought that these mushrooms could be randomly appearing in these plants. And somebody said, actually more than one person said this, that I should take them out of the dirt and put them in new dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Like I know what that means. So I cut them out of what they were in and I just shook them a little bit and I peeled off very gently without hurting any roots, peeled off a lot of the dirt, not all of it, because,
Mm-hmm.
I can only do so much. I'm a plant killer here, people. And I put them in new dirt.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad.
And it's been 5 days and they didn't die because of it.
You're like practically an expert. I love it.
I think I could do this.
I think you might have this.
I'm gonna have to post pictures because no one is gonna believe this right now.
No, no. And three new ones. I'm impressed. We definitely need pictures. I want to see.
I'm gonna have to send them to you because I don't know what the hell I bought except for the lady that was the cashier said they're for the house.
Well, I will help you out.
I did confirm with her also that they weren't, if the cats tried to eat them, my cats would not die.
Perfect. Well, we'll pull out houseplant horticulture and we'll have a little plant sesh and we'll take a look. That sounds like a perfect thing to do to celebrate Ostara.
People, please send me and the plants your blessings. We need everything we can get right now.
That's actually my favorite thing to do this time of year. Everybody knows I love to plant things. So I am in the middle of repotting all my plants.
Yeah, but it's normal for you, not me.
That's very true. And we set up a little station outside on my front patio. And I very much like when I'm doing seeds, when I'm putting the dirt in the cups or in a new pot, I like to just fill it up a little bit and then draw a sigil in the dirt, or maybe put a little tiny bit of crushed eggshell that I have put a little spell on. Or if I make up little herbs, not an incense because I wouldn't burn it, but if I mix a little herbs, a little crushed eggshell, and put some intentions in there for prosperity, to grow love, to grow serenity, whatever I want to grow, and put it at the bottom. Not enough that it's really going to affect the plant, but enough to set my intentions with the growing thing. Then as it grows, that kind of carries that intention up. So I'll do that when I'm repotting my plants and starting new seeds. And it's just really gotten me into the Ostara mindset.
When I put my seeds in the dirt for my herbs, I have a conversation with them and I'm like, oh, please just grow so I know I can do this. And I've been pretty successful at the whole herb garden thing the
Yeah.
last few years, but I don't know. It's a big step with these plants. I'll keep you updated.
So you can do all of those things. Honey, there's all sorts of lovely cooking things that are great for Ostara. Have fruit with honey, just things that make you think about outdoors and freshness and newness.
Open a window.
Right? And, open a window and set your intention when you do it. So think about all the things in your house, all the stagnation, think about the winter and everything that's kind of just been sitting there that you want to get rid of. And then as you open the window, push that energy out and ask your land spirits, your ancestors, the energies of the universe to take all that negativity, all that stuffiness out the window and replace it with fresh spring, new air. And that's just a little mini spell you can do right there.
Spring cleaning isn't just for the house, it's for your soul too.
Absolutely. You mentioned a spell, and I do have a spell. I was thinking about how I'm not a huge decorate eggs fan. It's a little too Eastery for me. But I love eggs as a symbol. I think they're a fantastic symbol for Ostara and for spring. The new bunnies are being born. They're not eggs, I know, but babies are being born. Eggs represent,
Robin eggs.
yeah, they represent new life, and I love that. And I also like to use eggshells in protection spells because the shell itself is protecting new life, right? It's keeping it safe while it grows. So I think that is a fantastic item to use. If you're going to be making black salt, you can use
Yep,
eggshells instead of the salt if you're going to be
yep.
putting it outside. But it's a great protection ingredient. So I thought, wouldn't it be great to do like an Ostara egg thing as a spell? Have you ever taken an egg and poked holes in the top and bottom to kind of blow it out and keep the eggshell intact?
Layla, my mother was a crafter. Of course I have blown eggs because she would make me. And it is not easy. Not easy.
This spell requires that. So you put one little pinhole and one slightly bigger hole on the other end of your egg.
But not too big.
Not too big, no, but you definitely want it to be big enough that you can easily put like a rolled up slip of paper and some seeds and herbs into it. So small, but not too small. And you let all the insides out. Make yourself some scrambled eggs, bake some bread, whatever you want to do with it. Now you have a vessel. Basically, you have a jar to put your spell in. So you take a little wax and seal up the small pinhole. And then in the larger hole, you're going to put your spell ingredients. So the idea is to set your intentions for, I don't know, pick a spell reason, Shell.
Prosperity.
All right, we're going to make a prosperity spring Ostara spell in this shell. So as you're cleaning out the egg, you think of all the negativity going away. Think of starting new, think of starting fresh and clean. And then you'll have your eggshell. Take either a bay leaf or a little piece of bark or a small piece of paper, and on it write prosperity. Money comes to me easily. Write, I am inspired and work hard. Whatever it is that you need for prosperity, write that down. Then take some herbs, flowers, seeds, anything natural that corresponds to your goal. Like green, I'd make a little green paper or I'd write dollar signs on paper. For abundance, maybe I'd put mint, calendula, maybe some basil. And for the seeds, sunflower seeds are great for attracting success, and poppy seeds are also good for that. Carrot seeds are really good for grounding and for supporting long-term goals. So you could put some of those seeds in the shell.
Big of a hole are you putting in this thing?
You're thinking of the teeny tiny holes that are put into eggshells by crafters. we're putting a teeny tiny hole on one end and a kind of bigger hole on the other. So not too big, but big enough to put things in. This is intended to be a jar, and so it doesn't matter if one hole is a little bit bigger. We're going to cap it later anyway. So grind up your herbs, roll up the paper real small and tight, and put it in that little hole, and just drop in 1 or 2 seeds. Carrot seeds are teeny tiny, so trust me, they'll fit.
Okay.
So once you've got everything in your shell, you can seal both holes with wax, or you don't have to if you don't want to. Hold it in your hands and push your intention for success. Think of all the things that you have gained, all the success that you have. Think of it as if you have it right now and push it all into that egg. Then put the egg on your altar and let it sit there for a couple days. And every time you see it, think of abundance, think of success, think of money and prosperity and all those things coming to you.
Teacher, teacher, I have a twist. Can I tell you a twist?
I would love to hear a twist. Go for it.
Okay, you're gonna hate me because it's mixing that damn Easter thing. So, okay, my mother, like I said, crafter, we had to blow eggs. And the reason we would do that and what would be a perfect thing for this is so I follow you up until you seal your egg. Okay. So you seal it with wax on both ends. And then what I would do as a kid and what my mother would have us do is we would take a white crayon and we would draw things on the egg. Now, obviously, you can't see it because it's in white crayon. So you can put your sigils, any symbols or whatever. But then what we would do, flipping it back to Easter, is then we would dip them in egg dye. So if it was a prosperity egg, I would dip it in green. And then anything that I wrote in with the white crayon came out as white and didn't get dyed. That way, not only can you put all of your things inside the egg, but you can put sigils on the outside as well.
I love that. And you can do that either before you put the things in it, just let it dry first, or after, either way.
And you don't have to color it. I just had to add that in because I love colored eggs.
Oh, I think you have to now. It fits perfectly.
Oh,
So we're
yeah.
adding that in there. So you
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah.
So after you leave your beautifully decorated inside and out egg on your altar for a little while, 3 days is traditional, but 9 days, 5 days, whatever works for you. When you're ready to release the power of that spell, take the egg, concentrate on your goals and concentrate on that energy, and then take it to an outdoor space, someplace that's okay for a little bit of organic litter, maybe your backyard, something like that. And then concentrate really hard. Pull all that energy up from the ground, from the universe, from the sky, and push it into that egg. You're going to throw the egg. And as you pull your arm back, almost think of it like you're pulling back the string of a bow, like it's hard. Draw that energy back with the egg in your hand and then throw it as hard as you can.
Not at somebody.
Not at somebody. Not at somebody, not even if it's a get the fuck away from me spell. Preferably don't throw it at people, but throw it like at a tree or at the ground or at a rock. As you let it leave your hand, let the kinetic energy of your body add to the magical energy that you're pushing into it and feel that energy push the egg out of your hand. And then as it smashes against whatever you've thrown it against, that releases all the spell ingredients, all the energy that you have pushed into it from the time you created it until you filled it with all that energy and threw it. It now releases it out to the universe for your spell to do its work. Make sure everything in it is organic and biodegradable, and then go ahead and throw that shit right against a tree, and there you go. There's your Ostara egg spell bomb.
I still want to dye it, even though I got to throw it.
Absolutely, Daya. I think that's fantastic. Sometimes crafts are made to break. When I make cakes and I would make elaborate, amazing cakes, and people would be like, it's too pretty to eat. No, the point is to eat it.
Chop, chop, chop.
That's right. In this case, the point is to fill it with things and decorate it, and the point is to break it so that it can work.
I love that.
Isn't that a good one? So eggs are great as a container jar for spells, but in this particular case, it's designed only to be held for a short period of time while it absorbs energy and then to be shattered to release that energy to do its work.
For your seed to grow.
That's right, for the seeds to grow. Sometimes using an actual physical representation of energy, in this case, kinetic force, physical energy of a throw, that's energy that can be useful in a spell. So that can help you visualize that energy because you're actually doing physical energy to add to the spell work. So that can help sometimes if you're not able to maybe feel psychic energy or magical energy as well.
Because you are literally putting it out there.
Yeah, you're literally throwing it with kinetic energy of your body, hurling it through space on its own. It magically flies by itself. So that power's right there. You can even, if you want to, I know some people like to, after a spell is done, they like to see how their candles burnt or how their incense burned and kind of do conjuring or do divination from that. So once the spell has shattered, you can go and see what kind of patterns it's broken into, like a tea leaf reading if you want to. And you can do a little divination from that and give you an idea of the direction the spell might be going in.
But if you throw really far and hard and can't do that, that's okay too.
That's okay too. You don't have to do the little tea leaf reading at the end. That's fine. Just like a bird hatching. Like I love to watch the big bear bald eagles up in California. I watch them on YouTube. Two little babies.
You literally made me watch that when I was at your house not too
I
long
did.
ago.
And this year they have two little chicks, two little baby eaglets. But just like a bird hatches from an egg, that's that kinetic energy, that potential energy. New life is springing from this shattering egg. That's the same as your spell. This new beginnings, this new life comes from this breaking of the egg. So there you go. There's a spell. So now we've got a spell that you can do for Ostara as well, or for your springtime.
Well, after this chat, I don't feel so bad that I wasn't in the groove of Ostara in March. I hope others feel the same, that even if you're not feeling it on the calendar date, that doesn't mean, oh, well, I was busy or not feeling well or had other plans or wasn't into it on March 21st. I guess I just am not going to celebrate it. Absolutely not. Do it on your time.
And even if it's something as simple as doing a craft or lighting a candle and saying thank you for the season, if you're repotting your house plants, it's okay to just acknowledge the season, add a little bit of extra energy to something you're already doing, and call it good. That's all right. You're still a witch. You're still honoring the season. You're still working magic. It doesn't always have to be elaborate. Small acts of magic are sometimes the most powerful.
And my last parting thought is, to all of our listeners, please add my plants to your prayer list. I'm going to give it my best effort, but they're going to need all the love and support you can give them.
I think they're going to be great. You've done really well, all things considered. Your cats being plant murderers.
Hey, I've still kept that thing somewhat alive despite the cats. I'm fighting for its life. Give me credit.
It's been like 6 months, so I think if you kept those two alive, I think you're ready for these. I think you got this, Shell. I have faith in you.
Time will tell.
Time will tell. All right, well, thank you all so much for listening to Back on the Broomstick. We love having you along. Sacred Space recently and seeing all those letters and just seeing all of your faces and getting hugs from everybody. Thank you guys. This has been a lot of fun and it's just getting more and more amazing all the time. And Shell and I just absolutely adore you. So thank you for listening.
It started out as Layla and I just hanging out because we missed each other. And now it's all of us hanging out and all of us being a part of the conversations, even if we have to take the full conversation to the Facebook group. It's about all of us, and we adore you guys so much. Thank you for everything.
And thank you for letting us know and saying hi through email, through DMs, sending us snail mail, checking out our Reddit group, our Facebook discussion group.
Sending chocolate, sending food.
Everyone who's running these groups, Helen, Jojo, you are amazing.
Love you.
Love you. Whoever started the Reddit group, thank you. It's really great to connect with you guys in person and in cyberspace. So we will see you all there. And in the meantime, leave some likes, some stars, some reviews. It helps the show out and it makes Shell and I super happy. We appreciate it. We will see you pretty soon for a mail call solarium. And then we will see you next Friday. We've got some authors coming up and some new topics, some new things we're going to try. In the meantime, be wise, be wicked.
And keep it witchy.